I'm gonna show you something beautiful.
Pizza time.
I've been in the process of collecting the rest of the MCU movies that I don't already own, and converting some to Blu-ray. And I came across this collection of all 4 of the Avengers movies, so I decided to rewatch them all. But the one I was looking forward to the most was Age of Ultron, because it's often regarded as the weakest in the Avengers lineup, and debatably one of the weakest MCU movies. The blowback was so major that it caused Joss Whedon to quit Twitter. I saw it in theaters and remember being a little disappointed after I left. I picked it up on DVD shortly after and watched it 1 or 2 more times again. So it's been at least 4 years since I've seen it. With now having it on Blu-ray, I went back for another viewing and oh man, it's worse than I remember.
There are no strings on me.
Ultron was the most disappointing part for me. The MCU at this point had a problem with making good villains. By the time Age of Ultron was announced, the whole franchise only had 1 good one. Come to think of it, the MCU still has this problem. 23 films and only 4 good villains? The first trailer of Ultron narrating sent chills down my spine.
You're all puppets. Tangled in strings.
I thought that this guy would be the shit, and that he would set a new standard for MCU villains going forward. He looked badass, he sounded menacing, but in the film it turns out he's just an evil Tony Stark.
Don't compare me with Stark!
Now, I don't care too much if they change a character or a storyline from the comics when adapting to the big screen. If it helps the narrative and works in the film, then it works for me. But Ultron just annoys me. In the movie, they changed it to have Tony Stark create Ultron. Okay, that's fine, makes sense. But they also gave Ultron the same mannerisms and the way Tony Stark talks, which in the movie makes complete sense since Tony Stark made him. But it just feels like an evil Tony Stark.
Pretending you could live without a war. I can't physically throw up in my mouth.
Also, at no point do I feel like Ultron is much of a threat because every time the Avengers fight him, they end up winning the battle. I get that the whole idea of Ultron is that his consciousness escapes every time his body is destroyed, meaning that he can always come back stronger than before. But the movie doesn't use this to its advantage, he only jumps through 3 different bodies. I was hoping to see him really put the Avengers' backs against the wall. Instead, we get to see the Avengers fight off robotic goons while Ultron fights off one Avenger at a time, who do a pretty good job at staying toe-to-toe with him.
You're not a match for him, Cap.
Yeah, I think he's doing fine, Hawk. In keeping with the Stark comparisons, he's full of quips and punchlines that make him feel less of a threat and more like a joke.
Hope. I'll take that from them first. There's only one path to peace. Their extinction.
I'm sorry. I'm sure that's gonna be okay. I'm sorry.
Nobody has to break anything.
Clearly, you've never made an omelet. People create smaller people. Children. I lost the word there.
No, I'm not saying that he has to be dark and broody, and there's even scenes where I like hearing him talk. He's very well spoken and intelligent. But those scenes are very few and far between. Every other time he's on screen, he's just cracking some awkward jokes. Now, this type of humor worked pretty well with Loki in the first Avengers because he's the god of mischief. It made sense, it fit his character. But when Ultron starts doing it, I can't take him seriously. Big wasted opportunity.
Hey, big guy. Sun's getting real low.
This is one of the most unnecessary and just plain stupid relationships I've ever seen. At the beginning of the movie, Hulk gets transformed back into Banner by Widow using some weird palm rub thing. That's also pretty fucking stupid. But this just raises some questions. I thought Banner had the Hulk under control after the first Avengers with his "I'm always angry" line.
I'm always angry.
I guess not. And since Black Widow's introduction in Iron Man 2, they have been doing a really good job of making her more and more badass up to this point. I remember her being one of the best parts of the Winter Soldier. But here, they took a big step back with her character, by forcing her and Banner into this awkward relationship. It feels really out of place because before this point, these characters haven't shared that much screen time together. But now, she's flirting with him, she wants to take a shower with him, and she wants to disappear together. It feels like we missed an entire movie where they were supposed to, like, develop this relationship. Instead, what we got was a bunch of off-screen character changes. It doesn't feel natural, I don't feel any chemistry between them, and it just eats up the runtime. I'm happy this relationship was scrapped and not given any attention in later films. In short, it was stupid bullshit.
Gentlemen, this is Laura.
I know all your names.
So this film's pacing is kind of all over the place. The movie starts off with a bang and the plot gets moving, but there are moments where the movie just stops, mainly the farm scene, and Thor going on a side quest to figure out what his vision was. This part of the movie is the worst. Everybody mopes around as time ticks away and you start to get bored. There's also more time for Natasha and Banner's relationship, and no one wants that. They spent a total of 15 minutes of the movie here. Thor's side plot of visiting the cave was cut short so that Joss Whedon could keep his farm section, which is why the whole side plot just feels very sloppy and rushed. And I get that it's supposed to be a setup for the Infinity Stones, but it's sandwiched in between the farm scenes and Ultron executing his plan. And it makes this whole part of the movie feel very cramped and slow. And it's a big contrast to the first half of the movie, where everything is fast-paced and jumping around. From action set pieces to locations to the plot, it all moves much faster in the first hour. But even these moments have their issues. There are scenes of action that are supposed to be entertaining but just kind of drag on. For example, when they fight Ultron in Africa, they all fight until Scarlet Witch messes with their minds, leaving them all incapacitated, and she forces Hulk to go on a rampage, which leads to a fight with Iron Man. From the moment they get to Africa to when they finally leave is 17 minutes. And during the Hulk and Hulkbuster fight, it hits a point where you go, oh, they're still going. It's similar to Man of Steel, where the final battle with Zod just keeps going and going and going. For me personally, it got to the point where I was just thinking, can you just wrap it up? Ironically, the farm and Thor's side plot are immediately after this. So you go from one long drawn-out action-packed section, followed by a slow, boring one. There's not consistent pacing or balanced moments of action, plot, and character development. It's all scattered. Now these are just a few things that I think are just dumb in the movie, like in the beginning with Scarlet Witch's weirdly edited scene.
We have a second enhanced.
Or how Tony and Banner for some reason have no idea where to find Ultron after the party, even though Tony told Banner that he found the scepter in the part of the fortress that they just raided where there are advanced robotics that the scientist was working on.
Down in Strucker's lab, I saw some fairly advanced robotics work. They deep-sixed the data, but I gotta guess he was knocking on a very particular door.
Ultron has access to the same information they do, including information on what the scientist was working on, which was deleted by Ultron. So when you check the place where you found the scepter that has machines to make advanced robotics, Banner is such a pushover. He goes along with Tony's plan to create AI twice. Once when creating Ultron, and then he's bullied into doing it again when creating Vision. After everything they've seen, why would he think it's a good idea to redo the same thing that created Ultron in the first place? Oh, I know why. We needed the Avengers to be mad at each other and to fight again. And of course, it turns out Tony is right the second time when Thor brings Vision to life. Quicksilver's death wasn't impactful and kind of lame. We've seen how fast he can run. He runs so fast that everyone else looks like they're nearly frozen. So you're telling me he couldn't grab Barton and move him out of the way without getting hit? Or even better, he couldn't have grabbed Barton and moved behind the car with him to avoid getting hit by the bullets? Also, I'm a little confused. Earlier in the movie, we saw Quicksilver get shot, and he had no reaction to it besides just being annoyed. So I thought maybe bullets didn't hurt him or he had some like advanced healing on top of his advanced speed. But nope, nothing. Bullets still kill him. Now the rumors for Quicksilver's death is because X-Men were also using the Quicksilver character, so Marvel couldn't keep him alive because it could cause confusion, and Disney didn't own 20th Century Fox yet. And I get that, but I wish they would have killed him off in a better way. And that's gonna about do it for all the main criticisms that I have. It's definitely not the worst Marvel movie out there, but for me personally, it's one of the most disappointing. There's some good moments sprinkled in here and there, but it's one of those movies that the more I watch it, the more I notice its flaws. And unlike other movies in the MCU, the negatives outweigh the positives so much to where I can't look past the flaws. But of course, this is all just my opinion. Others might say that it's their personal favorite, and that's fine. But to me personally, I think it's the most disappointing. I think it failed to reach the standard set by the first Avengers, and tried to go bigger, but in my opinion, kind of flopped. And according to Joss Whedon, there was a lot of studio meddling, and in his words, it nearly broke him. This was actually the last Marvel movie that he directed. So those are my thoughts on Age of Ultron. What do you think about it? Leave a comment and let me know. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and drop a like on it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Tex, and I'll catch you next time.